Amen.
This little thing
amen,
right
amen.
here.
So thank you guys for
I'm Tina,
joining
by the way.
us. Who are
Thank you for being here.
Deeper. I am
Hello.
Ron, and this is
What a
Brian
great
and Megan.
morning.
I'll go opposite
Forgot
order.
that part.
So
but
glad
this
that you
is
guys
going
are
to
here
be on the
with
back
us.
of every chair
Maybe you're
soon.
watching this
So
throughout
this
the
little
week
thing,
or whenever
I think
you're
it's called
watching this.
QRC.
We just
You
want to
just
thank you for
point your
joining
camera
us.
at it.
Such a great message
and
by
this
Pastor
pops
Justin
up in
today,
whatever
just on the
phone you
importance
have.
of
You just
community. So we
download
want
the
to
app.
go a little bit deeper
What?
and just have a
Super
discussion.
easy.
We want to invite you into that discussion. And
Community.
so as
I'm
you're
seeing
listening,
some
make
good
sure that
faces, some new
you
ones.
chat
Sorry,
in
distracted.
and let us
So
know
you just get on
what
this
you're
app,
thinking, maybe how
and
you would
it's-
answer the questions.
There's so many things
Any of
going
that,
on. I
we
could be up here
look
for
forward
an
to hearing
hour
from you.
telling you.
Brian,
But
I'll
there's
throw it to you
bike
first
night. Any
because,
motorcycle riders
since
in
we're
here?
going to be talking about war.
Bikes? Okay.
But Pastor Justin just said that, you know, being in community is an act of war. First of all, do you agree with that? And second, what would you say to that? Because that's quite a crazy statement.
I think it absolutely is. I think for me, like the most growth that I've had in my life spiritually has come being alongside other men of Christ. They'll be at a table or a group or whatever, and that's where true growth happens. That's where, I have things that I think that when I say it out loud, it's like, God's like, are you sure you really believe that? Are you sure really? And that's where I can men who are older than me, maturing with me, who can be like, nah, dude, you gotta, maybe I want to rethink that a little bit, or I think God's talking to you about working on this area of your life. So it's absolutely an act of work, because that's where we get our armor, and that's where we get stronger.
Yeah, and the enemy doesn't want us to be in that kind of. He almost wants to divide and conquer, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so we're fighting that battle, and I just love how everything was put together today, from the song that Jessica sang to the sermon. And so, when we think about, he talked a lot about tables. And so I think people would wonder, are we talking about literal tables or? So Megan, as you think about your tables, quote unquote, what are some platforms, I guess, that you've set up or that you've seen be effective? I mean, is it always a literal table where I'm sitting around with people, or is it, what for maybe somebody who's watching and is I don't understand the table reference much or something? What do you think about that? When we say tables.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a table.
Yeah.
Especially if food's involved.
Yeah.
Because what's better than food and a table? And what's better to build community?
Yeah, I was mostly thinking about the sermon. Justin got me excited about eating.
Right?
For sure. Yes.
Around a table.
Doesn't take much.
Yeah.
But to think about the tables that you're a part of, what does it look like for you? He referenced just being a table of men. So what do you think about your tables?
So I think I have a table of women as well, moms who are doing life together. We have kids around the same ages and just same struggles, same frustrations, same exhaustion, same all of it. So would be one table. Others are, our community group, which is other families that are kind of also doing life. Just trying to do that together. Serving together, I think, is also another table. Yeah. I feel like our relationships grow deeper when we're in the nitty-gritty of serving together. So whether that's a plug for his kids or anywhere else that you want to serve.
Yeah, she's got the shirt, the company shirt on.
Yeah. I think that's also
true. Just
a great
serving,
way.
And you've been on missions trips, and it's even just going on a missions trip or serving together, man, that's a great table. I love that, the idea, and you kind of I don't know, suffer, but you put yourself out there to grow together, and it's so meaningful. So when you mentioned something both of you hit on is our tables. If you're having trouble finding a table, our tables start with, I feel with something that you have in common with somebody. It just could be that you're Christians, but sometimes it's because you're a mom, it's because you're a man, or it's because you're a part of this. This thing or that thing, and so many times our tables, there are people around the tables that kind of look like us in other ways. I really enjoy hanging out with other families with kids, and I've got kids from. We've been doing that for a while.
got a long list of kids.
Yeah, we've been hanging out with families with kids since 1990, and still going strong. So maybe that's what you need to do, is you just need to find some commonality, and you start there. But Brian, I want to talk to you about maybe one of the confessions or the problems that I have sometimes is you know, how do you go from, okay, we're going to meet, we're going to have coffee, and we're talking about, like Justin talked about, we're talking about something maybe more superficial, current events, or how do you go from that to get into gospel-centered, you know, community? How do you do that? I mean, is it ever awkward, or is it like...
It can be. It depends on, like, sometimes, like, I feel like I want to get deeper and talk about scripture with somebody, and like they're not on that same page, and they want to remain on that superficial side. But I mean, it's really like if we look hard enough, like we can see Christ in everything. We can see the gospel in everything, especially like current events, families, like sin, growth, addiction. Like we can see Christ in that. So you can almost bring the gospel up in almost any situation, and then you can, if you're testing the waters about somebody you want to get deeper with, you can maybe see how they respond to that. And be like, oh, maybe this is, you know, go a little deeper, get a little more intentional on this.
Yeah, that's good. What about for you, Megan?
Well, and I think most of the time when you've started to develop the relationship and you know that person and, you know, you've kind of got some common ground or whatever, I think often like we're all desperate for that. Whether or not we know we're desperate for it,
Absolutely.
we're all desperate for that. So I think sometimes if we just take the first step of saying like, and own it, you know, like this might be a little awkward, but I really need you to pray for me right now for X, Y, Z, or, you know, just kind of maybe name it. Like, I know this might be weird. I know you might be uncomfortable with this, but can we talk about this? This is really struggling. I'm struggling with this. And then it's usually like once that door gets cracked, it's just like, the floodgates just open because we're all just so desperate for that unity, deeper, you know, that deeper connection.
For sure. And I think God can make a table anywhere. Like he's not afraid of bars. He's not afraid of things like that. Where God's like, you know, we bring up the gospel and God's like, can set a table for us in any situation.
Yeah, good point. So make that table wherever and whatever environment you're in, and be bold enough to maybe just ask that question, how can I pray for you? Or actually, could you pray for me? Or you're talking about something, you know, just opening up, what do you think that God, or what do you think Jesus thinks about this event or this thing? Bring up spirituality, and we can turn those what are just current events or those superficial discussions into gospel-centered discussions. That's the challenge. So, well, that's quick. That's all the time that we have. I want to thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget, if you want to get involved in a community group here at the church, just go to tcaz.us/groups, and you can do that. Or you can actually just go to tcaz.us/connect and get involved in anything. So we want to encourage you to do that. Thank you guys for your generosity, for giving towards the vision and mission. We will see you guys next week.